Hello and welcome to the Creabea Knitting podcast. Hello, my name's Rebecca. I'm a knitter and knitwear designer based in Edinburgh, and this is a vlog or a podcast all about knitting, what I'm currently knitting on, what I've been knitting on, and what I'd like to cast on in the not too distant future. And I'm back with another podcast episode. It's been a few weeks, it's been 3 weeks. I meant to film last week, didn't quite grind to it, we're doing it today. So, because it's been so long, I've got 2 finished objects, 5 works in progress. I don't think I've got any yarn to share, but I will be drawing the first prizes for the Tolsta Knit-along. So let me start with that actually before I forget all about it. I've not drawn the prizes, but I'll do it while I'm editing the video. So there will be a little bit of information. There's a knit-along happening. It is called the Tolsta KAL. It's running on Instagram and on Ravelry. You can enter on Instagram by posting a picture and using the hashtag TolstaTime. You can enter on Ravelry by joining the group. I'll put it down below and posting into that thread. And I will be randomly selecting a winner every week. We'll start with an Instagram winner this week. Next time will be a Ravelry winner. It's running all the way until the end of August and you don't have to finish. You can already have started. It's about as flexible as it gets. You can knit either the Tolsta Tee, which is a t-shirt, a raglan t-shirt in 4-ply and DK with bust shaping, or you can knit the Tolsta tank, which is a tank pattern with 3 neckline options and it's in DK and fingering weight. So lots to choose from ultimately. And yeah, I will be drawing prizes and the winner will get a sweater's quantity or a Tolsta's quantity of one of my favourite Tolsta yarns. And so the very first one is going to be Sandnesgarn Lena, which is to make a DK weight version. I will put the winner here and I will also message that person on Instagram and they can pick the colour and tell me how many balls of yarn they need. So if that is your name, congratulations, and if you want to take part, I'll do another winner in 2 weeks. So you can post on Instagram or you can post on Ravelry and win some prizes. Okay, let's get into my finished, well, firstly what I'm wearing. I'm going to call this, yeah, it is a new pattern, but it's not a pattern for this summer. It needs a little bit of work before it becomes a regular pattern. It is kind of all my favourite things wrapped into one garment, if I'm being honest. It is the gauge of my Tolsta. It's knit in Sandnesgarn Lena in the colour Sunny Lime. It has this really cute little edging detail around the neckline and it's a drop shoulder with this drop shoulder construction I really like. And honestly, I love it. I think it's super cozy, super fun. I do need to make some changes, and that is to the sleeve. You can see the sleeve is quite high here. I've done some short rows, but I need to work the short rows a bit further, and I think the sleeve just needs to be a bit, the armhole needs to be a bit shallower, because it's just a bit of a baggy sleeve. So it's not fully like ready to go into testing, and it won't until next year, but it is super fun and super comfy, and I've been wearing it a lot. I chucked it on today without having washed. I only tend to wash my summer knits every like 2 to 3 wears. And I have not washed this since last time, so it's a little bit creased. That's okay. It's only been one for the podcast today and then I'll put it back into my wardrobe. Or maybe the wash, I'm not sure which. It doesn't have a name yet. I mentioned last time, I kind of like the idea of calling it another beach name from the same island as Tolsta, but I don't know if it's too close. So I need to come up with a name for this one, but it'll be something for next year, at least. Okay, let me move on to Tolstas and then I'll stop talking about Tolstas and everyone who's Tolsta'd out can get a break. I released the long sleeve, I put an update out to the t-shirt pattern and added bust shaping and added long sleeve options, and I meant to finish this sweater in time to release the pattern update, but then I thought I was allergic to the yarn, and in fact I realised instead I actually just have hay fever, which I don't often have, but they cut the grass outside today, so I definitely have it today. But this is my long sleeved Tolsta. I knit this up in Sandnesgarn Ballerina chunky mohair, 1 strand. It is light as a feather. I think I used 4 balls, which is really very little yarn. I should weigh it out to be sure. But yeah, it's really nice. It's this lovely like cobalt blue colour. And I've been wanting a cobalt blue sweater for forever, so this feels kind of like a finally moment. But yeah, I really like it. I knit the size 3 with no bust shaping. And yeah, it's really nice. I haven't actually I blocked it before I finished the sleeves because I thought I was allergic, and so I thought if I blocked it I would understand if I was allergic and then make some decisions about it, and I also washed the yarn I was working with. And I've not blocked it again. So the sleeves are unblocked, but they're quite neat, so I'm honestly not in a rush to block them. I'll just deal with it when I've worn it for a little while and wash it then. So yeah, that is my first finished object. Long sleeve Tolsta. Yeah, there's a separate document added to the folder, so when you download the pattern you get like 7 documents now. And one of them is the long sleeved, is a pattern called sleeves, and it's just, you follow that instead of following the sleeve instructions in the pattern. You knit the whole thing, and then when it says sleeves you just jump to the sleeves pattern, and it just gives you the decreased weights for the sleeves for both the DK weight and the 4-ply. And you get a real handy classic sweater pattern as well as a t-shirt. Okay, if that is like a super clean classic, this is the opposite of that. Well, it's still pretty classic, but it is not like clean and simple, it's a bit more complicated. This is my Kip sweater, and if you've been watching for a while, you know that this pattern has been in the works for a long time, and I'm super excited it's finally done. I say done, it has not been blocked, and I need to reknit the hem. So done with a caveat, but unfortunately the weather it's been pretty warm, which is lovely, but I don't have the motivation to finish this right now because I don't need to. So I'll have to do it soon. This is my Kip sweater. Oh, it's been in my project bag wrinkled up because it needs to still have the hem reknit, and so I've not, it's gone pretty wrinkly. But this is the Kip sweater. It is an all over, oh, battery already. Okay, the Kip sweater. So the Kip is, here it is. It is a real classic like Gansey style sweater. It is a little bit oversized, it's drop shoulder, it has this, again, this like really classic back shaping that I just really love. It's the same as what I'm wearing on this t-shirt, where you work the back panel. It's got, I mean the main key thing is it has this beautiful all over herringbone stitch. And it is just so much fun to knit. Super, super easy, like nothing complicated about it. Very easy to keep track of, just a lot of rows. So it's like 44 rows per 10 centimeters, so you have to knit quite a lot to get your fabric. But I think it's worth it, and I'm excited about my second, casting on my second version. So it's not a slog, it's just a lot of knitting, but it's nice knitting. I have this little detail on the cuffs, this like edging here, and it's on the neck as well. And it's also on the hem. Oh, I've actually made a mistake there. Have I? Yeah, I think I have. A little jog there. So I used Rerum Natura Ulysse. Beautiful yarn, great price point, like pretty good price point to be honest. Yeah, I think it's maybe £12. No, it's not as much as that. I guess maybe like £8.95 for 185 meters, and I used just under 7 skeins of yarn. No, just over 7 skeins of yarn. So it does take a lot of yarn because the rows are quite thick, but what works really well with this yarn in particular is that it is very light. So this is like a 370 gram sweater. Is that right? Yeah, about that, 375 grams or so. So it's really, really light, but there's quite a lot of yarn to it, and because it's woolen spun, the yarn, it keeps it really like cozy and warm. And yeah, I just love it. I'm so pleased with this. If you watched last episode, I was having a panic. And this definitely happens. I go through, and I talked about it then, but every single design, I go through a phase of being like, I hate this, this is a terrible idea, I'm an idiot, I should never have started this, what am I doing? Just to be, you know, dramatic. And then I kind of work through it and understand what I don't like, or sometimes I just take a break. And what was happening with this one is, let's see if I can explain this without sounding like, yeah, clearly. So for a lot of my designs, so for Lunen, which I'm going to show, for 6th season, for Lauder, and for this design, there's quite a few actually, I've done like a baby drop shoulder. So a lot of the time when you see a drop shoulder, the drop comes all the way down, and then you work from there. But in order to get that, you have to have a lot of positive ease around the bust so that you've got the ease around the shoulders, like tens of centimeters. So what this is it's a drop shoulder, and you've still got a bit of ease around the bust, but the drop shoulder goes to here, and then there's some sleeve shaping, and then it goes down. And that's why you can see that on the sleeve I'm wearing, there's not enough shaping, because that's the top of the sleeve is so much higher than the bottom of the sleeve, and it's like slanted. And what I needed to do is go like this for it to fit better, and so I need to work smaller short rows in the top of the sleeve. And so I was worried that for this, if I worked those short rows at the top of the sleeve, it would throw off the stitch pattern, but it's not. And you can actually see it very clearly in this pattern more than others. There's like a wedge. You can see it there. So it's like narrow down towards the armpit and wider at the top. And that is me working short rows over the top of the sleeve cap and then working straight down. And it kind of allows you to have a less oversized drop shoulder. And you kind of, it's a kind of combination of a drop shoulder and a sleeve cap, like it's a little bit of both, or like a set-in sleeve. I really like it. I love how it wears. I enjoy knitting it. I think the fit is really good, and like my stick season is my all-time most worn sweater. I love my lauders, and I think this is going to go into rotation too. So like I'm going to keep doing them, and then yeah, I've made a t-shirt in the same design because I love it so much. So I feel at this point it's almost like a bit of a signature construction. I have a lot of patterns with this. Do I have more planned? No, not really. Ish. I'll get around to that in a bit. But yeah, and that was all it took. And then I knit the sleeves and I was totally fine. There is a difference in dye lot between the sleeves and the body. However, I blocked the body and not the sleeves, so there is a possibility that it will change with blocking. I don't think you can see it as visibly on camera, but the sleeves are a bit more yellow than the body. I think, honestly, it's not super obvious to the naked eye. And yeah, because of those fit, I was worried about the fit, I blocked it before I tried it on. And because I needed to get a really accurate gauge to my tech editor, so I blocked it to get the proper gauge, send that over. But it means that for the... I'm not bought the sleeves yet. The colour of this, sorry, I'm all over the place, is Poivre Blanc, white pepper. And the one issue I still have to fix then is the hem. So as you can see, can you kind of see that? The hem is flaring. The reason for this is that this sweater is knit on a really big needle for the yarn. So it's technically a sport weight yarn. It's 185 meters per 50 grams, and I'm using a 5mm needle. And I'm a loose knitter. A lot of testers are going up to a 5.5 or a 6. And the gauge is 22 stitches? 20, 22? It's like a real like maybe 20 or 22 or maybe 21. Something like that, I can't remember off the top of my head. But all that to say, it's a really big needle for the stitch for the gauge. And so when I got to the ribbing for the body, I was using a 5mm needle, so I think I got down to like a 4 or a 3.75. But what I should have thought about is, okay, it's a sport weight yarn. I would normally knit that on probably, for me, a 3.75 or 4, so I should go down to like a 3.25 for the ribbing, and I didn't do that. And so my ribbing's just not tight enough, and so it's really like flared out. So I just need to unravel the ribbing. Yeah, you can see it very well, but on this side the ribbing is like, what is that, like 2 centimeters, and the same on this side, longer than, like wider than the rest of the sweater. So yeah, that's fun. But I just need to reknit and that'll be fine. And I can start wearing this, and I'm going to start my second one soon. You'll see that I've got a lot of needles, so I need to clear off some projects before I can cast the next one on. But yeah, the test knit has started for this one. It was only on Instagram. I had planned to film last weekend and then to talk about the test knit call on here as well. However, life just got in the way last weekend and I couldn't film, so I only posted the test call on Instagram. One of my projects for the summer is to get a mailing list set up, and so I will be putting out test calls in the mailing list as well. So if you are interested, then you can do that without me having to like line up my filming schedule. I'm usually honestly pretty good at staying on top of filming, but yeah, as I mentioned in my Tolsta video, we have a puppy. More than puppy at the very end. I know that not everybody wants puppy content, but it just means that like finding a window of time to just sit down generally is nap time, and if he's not napping, like I've got a lot of other things to do at nap time. So my time is precious at the moment, and filming just didn't make the cut last weekend, so I didn't get the test call out in a YouTube episode. However, the pattern will be out mid-September. The test net ends on the 12th of September, so it should be at the end of that week. It is a long test. We're doing 11 weeks this time, which I'm looking forward to. It's my first time running a test this long. I'm looking forward to seeing like how engaging it is and how many testers finish. Like some designers make claims that they do short test windows to keep testers engaged. I think that's nonsense, but I'm curious to get a bit of a sample size, and my goal is to continue for at least winter patterns that are like full sleeves, full sweaters, to keep my test window up around the 11-12 week. I'm aiming to get to 12 weeks because I hope it means it's a bit more inclusive, and people who are maybe knitting bigger sizes feel that they've got the time they need, and people with like lives who normally wouldn't test knit or would only test knit for longer windows also feel that they can be included. We'll see how it goes, but the test knit has started, it kicked off, it's going really well so far. It's also the first time ever that I've changed up my process and I now have two tech editors, so I'm hoping this means that it improves the quality of my patterns, and just not really the pattern when it gets to publish, because by that point it's all been solved, but when it goes to test knitters I want there to be as few issues as possible. And I've definitely noticed so far the test knit has been very, very, very smooth. So I wonder if double tech editing has helped that, or if it's just this pattern. We'll see. So yeah, a few changes to my processes on the back end, which really makes no difference to anyone else apart from me and maybe my test knits and my tech editors, but that's how things are. Kip sweater, I'm in love with this. Oh, and I've mentioned it before, but it's named after a place in Scotland. However, kip also means chicken in Dutch, so I kind of like that it is a combination of my, I don't know, it's kind of the chicken sweater. I kind of like that, which is fun. So yeah, there we go. Really proud of this one. I need to get it blocked and get that hem fixed, but you will see, I should put him somewhere it's not on the frame, but you can see your kibble rolling around everywhere. But yeah, I've got so many other knitting things going on right now that that's not taking priority, but it should, and it will, before I want to wear it, which shouldn't be too far away. Okay, those were my finished objects. I have 5 works in progress. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5 works in progress. One is not even cast on yet, so I don't think it counts. Where should I start? Okay, we'll start with the one that's the furthest along, but also, ooh, I'm getting really blown out there. The furthest along, but also the one that I've not shown since, I don't know if it's progressed since last time, maybe just. This is my Lunan tee. So I have one more pattern coming out this summer. It's called Lunen. It's a polo and a tee. So it's the same, it's construction for both of them, but they've got 2 different neckline options, and it's also in fingering weight and DK because I just like giving options. So my polo version is already done. I'll pop a picture of the polo here. I love the polo, but I know that not everyone wants to knit a polo, and I like to just give variety. So there's also a round neck version, and this is my round neck version. I really, really like it. It's a very like narrow, relatively high neck. Now some testers, like 1 or 2, have lowered the neckline, which is also super easy to do. You just do these neckline increases more spaced out, or you start them later. Either of those 2 things will work. But yeah, so I finished all of the body. You can actually really visibly see it here. I knit the collar and had joined in the round for the test call so that everyone could see what this collar looked like, and I blocked it, and I didn't block the rest of the body, and you can almost see exactly where it's been blocked and where it's not been blocked. And today is the episode of Wrinkly Knits. Everything is wrinkly, everything's in project bags. It just needs some sleeves, and I just haven't done it. It's on my to-do list for this weekend, so I need to sit down and do the sleeves. This is again a super similar construction to the other one, so it's got this really nice back shaping detail that I just think is so fun to knit, and then it's going to have some short row shaping in pattern on the sleeve cap to bring the sleeve down. It doesn't need much, it just needs a few bits and then it's ready to go. And I think I will be at knit night on Monday for the first time in 2 weeks, and this would be the perfect thing to wear to knit night, so I should finish it so I can wear it to knit night on Monday. Which is a huge, like, that's my primary motivating factor. But yeah, I think it would be good just to power through and get it finished. It is knit in Camarose Someruld, I think, yeah, that's what it's called. It is a 70% wool, 30% cotton blend. It's pretty chunky, like it's quite a dense yarn, and it works for me in Scotland. It's going to be great for spring and for autumn. I think honestly Scotland summer is like 17 degrees. It's going to be fine for that too. It's a bit thicker. So my dream yarn for this pattern was knitting for olive cotton merino. And then I thought, I panicked because it was out of stock everywhere and I wasn't sure if it was coming back. So I didn't design it in case it got discontinued. And now they've restocked it. So I think that yarn would be perfect. There's some really, really nice yarns in the test net as well. But yeah, mine is, it's going to be really good. It's just a little bit heavier than a summer knit. It's like more of a not a winter t-shirt, but like a transitional t-shirt than a super light summer t-shirt. I have 2 samples being knit for this, both the fingering weight samples. One is in bright red and one is in olive green. I think the round neck is in olive green and the polo shirt is in bright red, and I'm so excited for that polo shirt. I think it's gonna look amazing. I'm super buzzed. And what else was I gonna say about this? Oh, I think I'm gonna knit a long sleeve version. I might wait a little bit until it starts to get colder again. And when I do that, I'll probably just chuck an extra sleeve pattern in the document. But yeah, I really want like a dark green or a dark grey long sleeve version with a polo collar. I think it's gonna look like dark academia vibes. We've got quite a few men testing this one, which is nice. I think 7 or 8, or like 3 or 4 men testing, and then a few people knitting 4 men in their lives. So also nice to see. It's quite like some patterns just get interest and people say they want to knit for men. And this is one of them. So it's nice to make sure that there's space for male test knitters. And oh, a bit of a snafu with this one. First time it's ever happened. The pattern just wasn't in great shape and I had to restart the test knit. It is the first time it's ever happened. So just weren't quite there. It wasn't quite there in the pattern. Just a bit overcomplicated, and in fact the fixes were really simple. But quite a few of the sizes had to be like relatively updated, and so I basically went to the test knitters, extended the test knit. So we were 2 weeks in. So I started the test knit over basically, and I gave 2 more weeks at the end of the test knit, and said, it's your call. You can start over with a fresh pattern, or you can continue with the existing pattern, but just let me know which one you want to knit with. My plan was that if there were any sizes where nobody was knitting the new pattern, I would find new test knitters, but I've got a really good spread. Almost everyone started over, and a few people who didn't start over were the ones with like 1 or 2 small changes, and they could just like fudge their way to the end. So that was fine. And yeah, I felt so unbelievably guilty. And of course, on the one hand, like, test knitters are aware that the pattern might have issues in it, but I never want to go to that stage where there's that big issues. So that's why we're now changed the process, or double tech editing, and like, yeah, that's why my process have changed. But I just felt super guilty. I felt really embarrassed, and there are a couple of designers doing the test knit, so I felt really like extra embarrassed because I was like, oh, they're gonna judge me for being unorganized and not having this sorted. That being said, it's back on track, and I think I handled it. I gave everyone more time. I was very apologetic, people were very understanding, but I was big time beating myself about it. I felt so guilty for like a week and a half. But now it's back on track, and I'm seeing some really amazing versions coming out, which is really nice to see. And I'm seeing also some really nice round neck versions, which is nice because my round neck is not finished yet. So it's nice to be like validated by seeing other people finish theirs, and it'd be really cool. But yeah, definitely hit a roadblock. The good news is that the new version of the pattern is so much simpler, really, really clean, much more logical for the people that are following it. And we've had like no issues, like very, very minor issues since the pattern's been updated. But it was like a new thing to me to have to navigate more issues than normal. And so now, yeah, there's an extra step in the pre-testers process to make sure it doesn't happen again. But yeah, just a bit of transparency. I messed up. And unfortunately, the pattern's coming out 2 weeks later than it was meant to come out, but that's okay. I'm actually quite fortunate because I don't release a pattern in August, or I haven't done it last year. I'm not planning to do it next year, like for the foreseeable future, unless something like this happens again, which let's hope it doesn't. But I generally try and keep August pattern free. It's my birthday month, and then it feels like a bit of a stop, and then I start again in September with like winter patterns, or like autumn winter. And so I don't have anything coming out in August, so this was due to come out early July, it's now coming out later July, and they've got that extra 2 weeks. So I'm not like, there's not a massive change to the schedule, it's just a bit of a delay. I try and keep pattern releases at least 4 weeks apart. Otherwise people are just like, oh, another one, oh, another one, oh, another one. I mean, maybe that's what you're thinking already. But it didn't make it. I was lucky that of all the patterns this mistake could fall on, this is the one it fell onto, and let's hope it doesn't happen again. But sharing them did happen in the first place. Okay, my next whip, I'll show another one that was on the needles last time, and then I've got 2 brand new and one that's actually not even cast on yet, so I don't think it counts. So this is my wrap cardigan. I knit a wrap cardigan already, and it was a bottom up wrap cardigan, and I learned a lot. It's definitely wearable, but it has some relatively big fit issues that I wanted to fix. Honestly, quite minor things. the armhole was too deep, the straps were a bit too wide. The neckline was lovely, so like good and bad. So I started over, but I wanted to make sure it was top down because I know that's people's preference for knitting, and there wasn't really any reason for it to be bottom up other than when I was knitting it. If I'm knitting bottom up, I don't have to think about anything. I can just start knitting and then deal with the shaping at the end. And so it doesn't look very good. But this is what I have so far. It looks so piddly. I did realise that I need to go back and just double check my maths on this neckline. So I've not worked on it in a few days because I want to check my neckline maths makes sense, and I might change it. I've already ripped this out because I realised that I joined them in the round and twisted a strap, like a shoulder strap, and I'd already knit a lot, like a good 10 centimetres under the arm. I had to rip it all back, and I think there's a possibility of ripping back again to change the front shaping. So we'll see. I'll do some maths on this and work it out. I've just not had the brain space to do it, but it is really nice. It's got this lovely it's got an I-cord down the front, and I think it doesn't look like an I-cord, which it does on the back. Like, it looks like an I-cord from the back edge. But my front edge just looks like a really neat edge, which I really like. It also means that the I-cord is relatively tight, which I like a lot because that's going to be here, which means you're going to make sure you get that coverage that you're, you know, it's going to and stay tight. The armhole sizes are way better than last time. It was like a 24 centimetre armhole last time, which is way too deep. And the arms are narrower, so that's looking way better. And it's my first time knitting a set-in sleeve, which has been, well, a set-in sleeve construction. So it's coming all the way up here. There's a lot of shaping, and there'll be a lot of shaping in the sleeve caps. Very like dainty vibes, I think. Like fitted, quite feminine. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I really, really am. I think it's going to be really cool. I should work out what I'm doing with my front shaping this weekend though, because I realised that on my other one, I had kept it quite wide before I started doing, so the increasing was less often and then more frequent, so it was quite like a scoop neck. On this one, it's the same rate the whole way, and I don't know if I want that. I think I might like the idea of doing it with more gradual and then up, but I need to make sure that I can hit the total number of stitches I need. So that's the maths I have to work out, and I should have done it beforehand and I didn't, so that's on me. It's got this really like seamless, mostly seamless, will be seamless once it's been blocked, just a tiny little seam on the inside, shoulder pickup, and yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I am also doing some waist shaping because it's going to be quite fitted, and I'm going to speak to my tech editor. She wrote the bust shaping on all the Tolstas. I'm going to speak about bust shaping options for this one because I think it being quite fitted and like, because it crosses over like around the boob area, I think it'd be really good to have extra fabric in the bust for people who need bust shaping. So yeah, that's been really exciting. I'm using two yarns which I really like actually. This is Drops Alpaca. I've mostly phased out of using drops for a lot of things. I don't love the quality of their mohair, but their alpaca is it's probably my favourite yarn. This and a mohair is like my all-time favourite combination, and my favourite sweaters to wear are Drops Alpaca with something else. And then this is Filcolana Tilia, which is silk mohair. Both of them are in like a sort of smoke ashy grey colour. The mohair is slightly more like silvery blue, and it's making this really lovely, like very wearable fabric. The second one's going to be bright red. I'm already ready for it. And there's going to be short sleeve and long sleeve options, because that's how I roll apparently. Cannot offer one without the other. And I'm really excited, but this is making me motivated to go and fix the front neck shaping and double check my numbers. I'm having to use needle stoppers because there are too many stitches, and I'm keeping on quite a short needle, but it's getting bigger and bigger. I'll have to transition soon, to be honest. And yeah, I'm really enjoying this. I put it down mostly this week because I'm in that way where I'm just sitting and sort the maths. I've not done it yet, so it's just been sitting waiting for me to go back and put some time into. I don't have a name for this yet actually. I have to go off and do some research and some ideas, some brainstorming around this. I did have, again, another dilemma, and I was indecisive this week, which is I have this pattern and the product I'll show you next. And this is obviously quite, yeah, dainty, DK weight yarn, fluffy. You don't have to make it with fluff, but mine is fluffy, a bit more fitted, a bit lighter weight, a bit dressier and like a little bit fancier. And then I have a jacket which is like oversized and quite outdoorsy, quite rustic, quite androgynous. and I have two slots. I've got a slot in December and a slot in January, and I could not work out which pattern to release when. For the January pattern, my original plan was the wrap in November and the jacket in January. But the jacket's ending up so quickly that I thought, oh, should I just knit the pattern and release it in November? But I realised that wasn't what I was going to do. But I asked a question on Instagram and said, which one should I release when? And the vote was exactly 50-50, so I'm glad that everyone else is indecisive as I am. But I'm going to release the wrap in November, I think. The main reason was people were saying how good it would be to knit it up for like a festive, you know, like you tend to be more dressy around, well, in countries where culturally you have celebrations around December. That's a time when there's a lot of stuff happening. So there's like office parties and New Year's Eve parties and Christmas things, and Hanukkah is also in December. So there's a lot going on, and you tend to be quite dressed up for all these things. And it was what I fancy a little wrap cardigan to wear. So I like that idea, so I will be releasing the wrap in time for that, and the jacket is like peak cold January chilliness. That is the plan. But I thought it was really funny that I was having this bit of like a dilemma and I couldn't make up my mind, and I asked the internet, and the internet did not help me and was tied exactly 50-50. So yeah, I should get back on track with this weekend. Can you tell I'm planning a lot of knitting this weekend? It's the one thing with dog around is that before dog, pre-dog, we were very busy and that we always had things to go do and places to be at the weekend. We can't really go anywhere. We're tied to the dog. So whilst we have less time through the week because he needs a lot more attention, I have a lot more weekend time than before. We'd be off doing stuff. But right now, for like the next couple of months, we're kind of like homebound, and it's kind of nice. I feel like we spent a long time being everywhere all at once, and it's kind of nice to have a bit of time where we don't have to be anywhere. We just have to chill and stay home and cook nice meals and chill out with the dog and watch TV and knit. So I am getting a lot of knitting done, which is good because I've got a lot of knitting to do on this. I realised that both patterns, I mean that's my decisions, the November, January thing, but both patterns, whichever pattern is coming out in November, it needs to go to testing in August. And so I have time. It's basically that. I have all of July still. I probably finish both samples and I can make the call closer to the time, but it does mean I've got a little bit of time. Okay, let's talk about my other thing, the pattern that is then now probably for January. So I'm way ahead of the game on this one. I had a brainwave on the bus. Maybe it was a tram. I had a brainwave on public transport. Maybe it was actually a train. I was definitely sitting on public transport where I suddenly thought, oh, that's what I want. I want that thing. I need to knit it. And then it kind of like stayed in the back of my head for a little while, and I had yarn that I was thinking about using. And then last weekend I was like, oh, let me just swatch for it. And of course it's now a fully cast on project. So let me talk about the yarn first. This is the swatch. Yeah, you can pick up the flecks there. There's like a little blue fleck here. Yeah, it's mostly like flecked with yellow and blue. There you go. This is Studio Donegal. It's got a name, but I forgot what it is. Do I have the little... No, I don't have it here. Damn, what's it called? Is it in my little notions pouch? No. I lost the tag on it. It's from Studio Donegal, and I think it's called Donegal Tweed, but I don't know if it is called Donegal Tweed, so disclaimer on that one if it's not out. I bought this yarn on the day that I released my very first pattern. We were in Dublin and I released the Cargill sweater, and we were in the hotel and I launched it in the morning, and then we went off and spent the day around Dublin, and in the afternoon I knew I had plans to go to the yarn shop. And I remember we sat down in a pub and ordered some Guinness, and I opened my phone and checked Ravelry, and it sold so many more copies than I ever thought it would sell, and I just had a bit of a freak out. And then it went straight to my head and we went to the yarn shop, and I think at this point I was like number 4 or something on Hot Right Now, and I was like, are they gonna recognise me? No, of course not. I was super delusional, and I was like, all the knitters are gonna know that I released my first pattern today. Nobody had a clue. I actually have a picture of me buying the yarn, and yeah, I went into there and I bought the yarn with the intention of making a cable sweater, which I remember thinking I have to buy an extra skein for cables. Anyway, it was then a bit of a nightmare to swatch with, or like a nightmare to knit with. I think it'd be good for cables. Well, apparently it's great for cables. I could struggle to see it for cables, but I could see it for stockinette. It's a very, it's quite a thick and thin yarn, and there's a lot going on. and of course there are tweedy bits, and it's pretty rustic. It changes a lot with blocking, and I'm keeping my swatch close to hand to remind myself that it is going to block into this beautiful, neat, soft fabric, because right now it's just like a bit of a gaping hole nightmare. It doesn't look that good. It looks pretty uneven. I'm struggling to get an even looking fabric, but I know that with blocking it will even up. So this is the Stick Season jacket. I'm releasing a jacket version of my Stick Season sweater, and I'm super excited. It is a much thicker gauge, but otherwise it's a similar construction, and it's going to have pockets. So I'm going to be knitting 2 samples because I always knit 2 samples, and this one is my stickless sample. So my Stick Season sweater, I'll put a picture, has this like textured, this knit pearl texture across the yoke of the front and the back. And when I was knitting it, I was like, oh, you know what I'd love to do is a stickless one, or like a textureless one. So I've made a textureless one that I call my Stickless Stick Season in green, and I swear I have never taken a picture or posted that sweater everywhere. It is my most worn sweater. I knit it up in Drops Alpaca and Knitting for Olive Mohair, and I adore it. It is my most worn, probably not my favourite. Is it my favourite? If I had to pick one sweater to save in a fire, it wouldn't be that one. But if I had to pick one sweater to wear for the rest of the year, it probably would be that one. So you know what I mean? It's not precious. Like I'd probably save my Cargill because it was my first one. But I could easily knit it up again. But I still wear it all the time. Sorry, I got a bit philosophical for no reason there. And so what was I saying? Yeah, so I've got 2 versions, one of my sweater, one with the texture, one without texture, and that's the plan for the jacket. So there'll be options to do it with texture or without texture, and there'll also be options for patch pockets. So my plan is to make the textureless one with patch pockets and the textured one without pockets. It's going to have the chunky 2x2 rib everywhere. I'm so excited. Yeah. So this was my excited cast on. I was not meant to cast this on. I was like just going to swatch, and I was like, oh, I'll cast it on later. And then of course I just cast it on already. It doesn't look all that great, to be honest. This yarn doesn't sell you on itself before you blocked it, to be honest. But it does have like this signature, a little shoulder detail, again, which looks all puckered and awful, but it's gonna block nicely, I keep telling myself this. And obviously this is all like, this will all open up. This yarn is meant to be great for cables, so I think it's gonna be really good for definition. And yeah, I don't have a whole lot to show, to be honest. I'm on the front right panel, and I've done like the start of my neckline shaping. And you can see me rolling out a little bit. There we go. So Stick Season jacket is coming later. Well, actually I think it's coming early next year if I keep my slots and it's January. I'm going to use the yarn that I bought from Junction Fibre Mill, which is a Vermont based mill, for my other sample. It's gonna be dark green, and I'm also already excited for that one. So I think it's just gonna be super nice. I had a bit of a dilemma because I was like, oh, is it really... I tend to release a lot of versions of my pattern. Well, sometimes, not all my patterns, some just have one. Like the kit will just have one version, but you know, Tolsta is like the most like all the modifications. Lunen's got like a vest, a cardigan, a sweater, round neck, v-neck, everything you want. Like I like to give everything to a pattern. And part of me was like, oh, is it cheating if I make a different gauge and change some design elements? I decided no, it's not. It's a similar design, different pattern. I'm going to stick with that and stick with my gut for this one, and see how it is. I know that other designers like release the same sweater as a cardigan version with a steep in the middle and call it a new pattern, or like add stripes and call it a new pattern. So like if people still buy them, and obviously with most people that's not an issue. So that was my other... I've had a lot of dilemmas this week. Can you tell? I've been thinking a lot this week. But yeah, so this one, much thicker. Still gonna have options. It's gonna have texture, textureless, and pockets. And it's my first time doing pockets, which I'm really excited about. I've already done a lot of reading on pockets. So yeah, Stick Season jacket coming probably 2025. Isn't that terrifying? But yeah, I'll definitely have a 12-week test for this one if I can swing it, because that way I've got plenty of time for things. So yeah, oh, I really like it. It's gonna be so nice and rustic, and just like, you know, oh, especially this yarn, like in the studio Donegal, and then like stick season vibes, and then it's gonna be cold out, it's gonna like chuck a jacket on. I'm thinking maybe duffel buttons, or like big chunky wooden buttons on it. Oh, and you just like layer it up with all the knitwear. I'm really excited. So yeah, that is my first one. I need to work out if I can, this is quite a thick yarn, it's like 160 meters I think, which is what, an Aran weight. I don't think it's quite chunky, I think it's Aran weight. My yarn from Junction Fibre Mill is 190 meters. So I'll see if I can get gauge, and if not I might hold it with a strand of alpaca. I don't really want mohair because I want to keep the sort of rustic vibe, but I thought like leafy alpaca might be a fun thing to add to that. Yeah, okay, 2 more whips. I really need an afternoon coffee. I can feel my brain just switching off. Yeah, I've shown that one. Okay. Okay, I'm saving my best one to last because I'm excited. Okay, so this is not a whip. This is a project bag with a single skein of yarn in it. I wanted to talk about this, but I'm not. I went to cast it on by now and I've not cast it on, and I meant to wind up the rest of the yarn and wind it up yet. So this is what I have to offer. I'm doing something crazy, wild. I'm doing a test knit. I'm knitting someone else's pattern in a test knit. I am in the test knit for the utility scarf, shawl I think it's called, which is a pattern by Jonathan of Jonathan's Days. And I'm really excited for it. I'm knitting the small version. I will put his picture up here. If you don't watch Jonathan, he is a podcaster based in London. And we've met a couple of times and he's super lovely. I like him a lot. And he started dabbling in some patterns. He released the Bosca hat last year. He's got a few other things going on. But this scarf I really like because it is kind of your classic triangle scarf, like little itty bitty triangle scarf. You know, just a little like tie it and it's cute Sophie scarf vibes. However, it is stockinette, but it's knit in the round. And then it lies flat and you've got stockinette on both sides. So kind of like double knitting, but not double knitting, just stockinette flat. I have got a pattern, well, there's a local shop very close to me called the Tartan Blanket Company, and they make incredible blankets. I actually used one in my cargo photo shoot. It's still somewhere here. Oh, it's hiding from the dog, but it's here in the living room. I use it all the time. And they have these little like scarflet things with this blanket stitch detailing around the edge. And I've wanted to make one of these since I saw it, since I first saw the ad. It's been like saved maybe on Instagram or on Pinterest for 6 months, easy. And I knew that for that blanket stitch edge, I needed edges not to roll, and I wanted to be stockinette. And in my head I was like, oh, I'll get around to it. And then Jonathan showed me this pattern and I was like, Jonathan showed me. I watched Jonathan's podcast in which he was showing off his pattern and I was like, that is the perfect base to add this blanket stitch detail around the outside, and that is what I'm doing. I was so tempted to cast on with like a fancy mohair and fingering weight yarn, but I realised that would also be really fun, but I signed up for the test to do this one thing, so I'm going to do this one thing. So it's actually June, July, I need to get cast on. I am using Kinross 4-ply, held with Kinross lace, which I've never used before. So I was a bit all over the place on this. It's a tight gauge. I'm not sure I'm going to get gauge, and that I'm not sure I can knit that tightly. It's a 24 stitch gauge. I'm going to struggle. I struggle. I'm a loose knitter. So we'll see. I'm going down to a 2.75mm needle, which I'm horrified by. Someone out there is going to be like, get a grip. Just get a grip and get over yourself and knit fingering weight. I'm trying. It's 24 stitch gauge. It's actually DK. But then some people are knitting sport, and then I was thinking about it and I was thinking like a true DK, I think it's going to be really dense, and I don't want it to be a dense fabric. I still want it to be quite light and airy. So I spent a long time back and forth on what to do. And I was thinking cashmere, because I've got an Angora scarf that I wear so much and I like that little detail, a little more classy, it feels really cool, goes with a lot of outfits. And then I was like, wait a minute, I have a yarn that I know feels like cashmere. And then I was thinking, but 4-ply held single will be quite a loose fabric, held double, that's going to be too thick. And then I thought, 4-ply with lace should get me gauge. So I don't know yet, I've not tried. A pretty good analogy for the state of my life right now is that the yarn is on the winder, on the Swift, half wound. and it's not finished, and I started that 2 days ago and I've not wound it since then. So that is how chaotic things are at the moment. But yeah, I'm using the colour Granite, which I think is one colour lighter than the sweater that I made, and I've got some left over in yellow, my brain is not working, in the colour Porridge, which is like a beige colour, and I'm going to use that for the blanket stitch around the outside, which I've never done before, blanket stitch, so we're going to just try it and see how it turns out. So yeah, my plan was, I was like, oh, that's going to be such a fun little stockinette project. I have a few fun little stockinette projects that I should be working on myself, but there we go. It is fun. There are some people in the testnet that have tested for me before, including Rebecca, who is a yarn song on Instagram, who comes to my knit night and has done like loads of my tests, and it's quite nice to be in a test it with her, so it's really fun. I'm not cast on yet. I should cast on today, but I should wind the yarn up first, and probably that's not going to happen today, so maybe tomorrow. This weekend I will cast on. Yeah, so the scarf comes in 2 sizes. I'm knitting the smaller size. I guess it's going to be out later this year, and if you want more details on it, you can get them over on Jonathan's page, because I don't know them. I just know it's 24/6 gauge, and that's all I've got. Perfect. Okay, I'm getting more and more delusional by the second that I record. So let me show you my last work in progress, and then I will wrap up with a life update. I do have some purchased yarn, I think, but I can't find, well, I'm in the middle of tidying, destashing, and like going through my project on my yarn, and I picked up a bag of yarn and I was like, oh, that is special. It needs to go to XYZ place, and then I put it down again and I've forgotten where I put it. It's in the same room, I just can't find it because I'm in the middle of clearing everything out. But that's okay. So I will show it next time, because by then, 2 weeks time, I better have finished tidying up by then. That's all I'm saying. So I do have a new whip, and it's had all my time and love in the past week. I'm obsessed with it. I am obsessed. Yesterday I went into the office and I spent the whole time in the office wanting to come home and knit this thing. It's just like, oh, I just wish I was at home knitting this, which is good as in the office, because then I couldn't be distracted by knitting on it. But all I was thinking was like, oh my goodness, I want to knit on that thing. So last year I collaborated with Ali of Explore Knits and Fibres to bring out the 6 season sweater. It is a pattern inspired by a song, 6 season, which is by an artist called Noah Kahan. Kahan? I would say Kane, but it's not how you say it. Noah Kahan. And Ali actually just went to see Noah Kahan for like the 2nd time, I think, just last week. I've seen him twice now as well, so yeah, it was just really nice. It was super nice. It was such a fun collaboration. I just felt like we were both really invested in it and like rooting for each other, and it just felt really, really like positive, and I loved it. And so I think in like a week after, Ali was like, we should do that again, and then in January she's like, okay, like let's get this booked in. So we're collaborating again, and so many great things came out of it last time. So we have quite a similar music taste. This time it is a Hozier-inspired sweater, and when I think of Hozier I think of like elaborate and over the top, and not really Art Deco. No, that's not really the word I mean, like oh, there's a word and it's like right outside of my brain. Just over the top, like luxurious, kind of luxurious, but in like an oldie way. God, I'm really struggling. Anyway, I think of a lot of like classics, like classic literature. I think of like scholarly, dark academia, all those vibes. Especially his most recent album, which is where I'm taking most of my inspiration from. I'm like an OG, like first album kind of girl, but this is okay. I've seen Hozier live a couple of times too, so has Ali, so it's all really cool. Of course, so there are 2 samples. I can't talk about the colours for the second sample yet because they are not, one of the colours is not a live colour yet. I have to check and find out when I can talk about it so I don't accidentally show a colour before it's gone live. However, for the first sample, Hozier is Irish, Ali has an Ireland collection, and I had to make sure, like it had to be yarn for that collection. So these are my 2 colours. This is a woolly, and this is My Guinness. Is it Oh My Guinness or just My Guinness? Yeah. Oh, puppy's having a nightmare. So if you hear weird noises in the background, it's not me, it's the dog. So yeah, these are the 2 skeins. I'm using Earthy DK, which is the non-superwash DK, which is the same yarn I used last time. And yeah, still can't find that word I'm thinking for, but like, not quite gauche, like not, yeah, anyway. It had to be all over colourwork, didn't it? It just had to be all over colourwork. So there are going to be there are going to be two options. There's going to be just a yoke, and then there's going to be the whole colourwork design, and I'm going to make sure that the yardages are clear for both. My first one is the all over colourwork design. My second one I'll just have the yoke colourwork. And I am hooked, absolutely hooked on this. Can't stop knitting on it. Had to rip out a few times just because it's a relatively, yeah, it's a pretty new to me construction actually. Well, it's a round yoke. It's my first ever round yoke design, so it is actually a new concept to me. But I'm using a wedge method for colourwork. So I've got two colourwork patterns, the Care and the Rue. Care is a drop shoulder, and then you just do a band of colourwork after the drop. So it's just around the chest, so it's one static pattern that you repeat. Rue is like stacked charts. So again, every chart is itself, and some of them have raglan increases, but every chart you work, like you finish a chart and then you move to the next chart, pretty much for the most part, and it's just all raglan. So it's like marked either with increases and all the colourworks in the middle. A wedge is like a piece of cake or a piece of pizza or a wedge of cheese, whatever triangular food item you want to consider. And it starts with fewer stitches. I don't know if I should go that way. Yeah, that's easier way. So it starts with fewer stitches, and then you increase out to have more stitches at the end. And it's the first time I've done this, and it takes a bit more thought because you have to think about where the stitches go. I have the ebook on the Strange Brew ebook, which is a book by Tin Can Knits, which is the kind of design your own colourwork. I'm not using any of their gauges or their sizing chart, but I did read up their page on the wedge method before I jumped into this because I knew the concept, but I was like, I need an example. So if anyone's ever interested in doing colourwork, or you want to design your own colourwork, definitely have a look at their method, their Strange Brew ebook. It's really, really, really good. I'm using, like I say, a different size chart, and I'm not hitting any of their gauges, so it's not really their pattern. It's not really like aligned to the ebook, but it is the methodology in terms of like they explain that wedge method really, really clearly, and I'm very grateful for that. Okay, shut up, Rebecca. Show the pattern. Here's what we have so far. I'm so excited. Oh, that noise woke the dog, he better stay asleep. That noise, me, I am the noise. So, this is what we have so far. I am not a neat colourwork knitter. I am a pretty scruffy colourwork knitter, and I put a lot of trust and faith in blocking, and so far it's always done me pretty well. But yeah, it doesn't look great before it's been blocked, and that is the stage we're currently in. It's on a wide needle, but it's still probably a little bit too short to show you the whole pattern. So we're currently in this like mountainous era. I'm like little ups and downs, jaggy bits. There we go. Can I? Yeah, you can see a little bit. So my Guinness is the main colour, and the Woolly is the contrast colour. Oh, I'm just absolutely loving it. Yeah, I feel like there's quite a lot of shadow on my stitches, and the yarns are kind of similar, almost like similar tones or similar shades, so it's hard to see the actual stitch pattern. But yeah, I'm obsessed, absolutely obsessed. I'm in that point where I have hit my maximum number of stitches, but I have yet to split for sleeves. I've got a few more rows before I split for sleeves, so it is like the longest of rows, so they're taking forever to knit, but that's okay. And yeah, I'm just having a really, really good time with it. So we'll see how it goes. I'm definitely going to have to stop and block before I finish the sweater. My plan is probably to split for sleeves, work like 5 centimetres and then block it to make sure that I'm on track, make sure everything makes sense, and make sure I like it. I keep trying it on and then being like, oh, and then take it back off and on again. And I'm definitely in that very excited phase. Is he going to settle? I hope so. He's not due to wake up yet. Yeah, okay. So yeah, absolutely obsessed, to be honest, is where I'm at with this one. And a good thing, because I do need to get this ready to go. I think end of July has to be done, and colourwork is not the fastest of things, so I need to like just keep it going. And yeah, so I also have short rows in the collar, which you can see, because all over colourwork, that's the only place to put short rows. And I think some designers like just when that happens, they just leave off colour work, leave off short rows, and it might look like 10% better, but you will just never wear the sweater because it will always be choking you. So suck it up, put the colour work, put the short rows in the collar. I probably could have done short rows in this 1x1 colour work, but that to me felt like I was upping the difficulty level more than I was willing to, and I don't like working colour work flat, so I didn't do it to anyone else. It would put me off. I am a pretty, like, I like easy knits. I like enjoyable, not easy, but I like knits that are just enjoyable, that I just want to pick up and keep going on. And I tend to take easy options, and this was my easy option. So yeah, that's where we're at. I think I'm going to call this my NYX sweater, NYX. There is a song on Unreal Earth, which is the most recent Hozier album, called Son of NYX, and it's such a good, if you're like a fantasy reader, particularly if you like Throne of Glass, because in my head it's my Terrassin song, but if you are a fantasy reader, go and listen to Son of NYX, because it just sounds like a fantasy song. It sounds like it's the backdrop to like your most epic fantasy novel. It's entirely instrumental, I think, and I just love it. And so I think, yeah, I was on the fence. There is a pattern out there called NYX already, so it could be the Son of NYX sweater, or I could just call it NYX sweater and suck it up and there'd just be another NYX pattern. That's all TBD, but yeah, I'm really, really liking it. I now have all of my colour work charts written, and it's just keep knitting it now, to be honest, so we'll see how it goes. It's quite cool because the way it's written, different sizes will just split for the colour work in different places, so I feel like some patterns really commit to the colour work being the yoke and then end up with like a really long yoke. We're not doing that, we're just splitting when it's time to split. So the whole colour work, the whole yoke is written, but I will split for sleeves when the yoke fits, ultimately, which I think is going to be like, yeah, a little bit longer. I've got a tape measure right here. Let's see, how deep is my yoke? Yeah, another 3 centimetres, and we will split for sleeves. Exciting. So yeah, just gonna keep working with this on. It is my fun project knit, and I've been, yeah, as soon as it's like puppy nap time and I'm sitting down next to the crate while he falls asleep with some TV on, this is what I'm picking up straight away because I love it. The second version is in brights, like really, really fun brights, not like very modern. So they're gonna be real, like 2 different real variants of the same pattern. Cool, I think that's everything. I was worried I was rushing through it, but I think it's been close to an hour, which is probably my longest episode in a while. I am going to wrap up with a little bit of personal updates. I know that not everybody wants to hear those. I know people don't care that I want a puppy, so if you don't want to hear any of that stuff, you don't have to stick around. If you do care, or if you just want to know, I'll put some pictures in of puppy or some video while I'm talking, because I mentioned him last time and I got so many comments be like, show us pictures of puppy. So here's puppy. His name is Nuggle, N-U-G-G-L-E. It is an animal, a very mischievous water horse from Orcadian folklore, so like from the Orkney Islands. It's a bit like a kelpie, but kelpies are everywhere. Like the animal, everyone knows what kelpie is, and this felt a little bit different. If you woke up and decided you want to play. Okay, let me give him something to quiet him for another 10 minutes before we can wrap up. Okay, he's got a celery stick. So that might buy us 10 minutes. So he came home 3 weeks ago. Today was the first day he's allowed outside, so all his vaccinations, and it's been a lot. It's been like a lot of time, lost a lot of sleep. But we're starting to see like the light at the end of the tunnel. I think we're coming out the other side, and it's just been, yeah, it's really nice. He's got his little personality, and we're training him, and we're having lots of fun. Sometimes he turns into the devil and tries to chew everything, but he's still pretty cute, to be honest. So yeah, really excited by that. Cannot wear my knitwear around him because he gets his little claws and his little teeth into everything. So it's, before I take, like, he's been asleep in his crate, he's crate trained. When I take him out of his crate, before I do that, I will be changing out of this t-shirt because otherwise it will get holes in it, and not just the nice knitwear holes, like whole holes. And all my yarn projects are currently being stacked when he's asleep. I put them all up here on the back of the sofa so he can't reach them. And that's where they stay, so that he can't reach them. It's been a really, really, really busy few weeks with him, to be honest. I think somebody will be watching and being like, every single time we every single time things get like marginally less busy, we do something that makes it significantly busier. And that's basically what happened. Like, boat, managed all the boat stuff. Dog, started to manage things. Yeah, so it's always a bit like that, a bit hectic around here, but that's good. Work has been mental. It's been really, really busy. I work for a tech startup, and it's just been really busy with lots of new fun things happening, new product launch, some innovation stuff happening, which is all really fun, but it means work requires a lot of my time and attention. But it does feel, I am really enjoying the fact that we just have some weekends and some time at home at the minute, and we've been cooking some nice meals. We've been making like cocktails at home, which has been really lovely, and the weather has started to brighten up, and perfect timing for, oh, we keep not calling him by his full name, so his full name is Nuggle, but we don't call him Nuggle, we call him every other form of shortened thing. So he gets Nugbean, he gets Bean Sprout, sometimes we call him Chicken Wing. I call him Chicken Wing. Don't know why I call him Chicken Wing, but it's stuck. So perfect weather for bean sprouts. We also go back outside in the sunshine, and yeah, it's been taking up most of my time. I've got a lot of admin going on at the minute. I am trying to just get on top of things like I'm trying to get a website set up, I'm trying to get a newsletter set up. And so a lot of those things going in the background, and a couple of really fun new things that I'm looking into. More on that to come. It's all very like up in the air and undecided, but the celery stick is finished. More on that to come. So I'll hopefully have more to share about that in the future. It's something for later in the year, but we'll see when that comes around. I'm gonna go. I need to go take my knitting off. I need to go clear my projects out of the way before they get chewed by some little teeth. And I'll be back hopefully in 2 weeks time. Next week I got my final installment of my New Zealand videos, and I'm also currently filming my yarn stash clear out and de-stash and organising, so hopefully that will turn into some content at some time in the future. Until then, happy knitting! Bye!